We want to see your support and just keep showing us those photos and showing what you're doing out there.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be putting a lot of your submissions in the newsletter, like Marley said, so you can check out all of your fans out there, your fellow Info Warriors. And now, here was the thing. It was so hard. We were looking at everything over the weekend. There were so many submissions that we couldn't decide.
So hard to decide.
We just could not choose a winner. We did narrow it down for you. We narrowed it down to 4. And so now you need to go to Infowars.com and click on this article, Spoils of War, finalists battle it out for the $1,000 prize. And you'll see there is a poll there. You need to click your choice for the winner of the $1,000. Go to the poll, and Alex Jones will announce the winner by the end of the show today.
So be sure to get to
you guys out there.
I see. I was okay.
Got a little bit of time. Just go and pick your favorite. We really wanted you guys to choose it for us. Like I said, it was just such a hard choice. So please go show us who you guys think should win grand prize.
Well, I got that wrong.
The winner will be announced today by the end of the Alex Jones show. So go to the website right now and choose your choice for the winner. Back to you, Alex.
Okay, sorry, guys. We don't script a lot of this. It's teleprompter free. So I was thinking they'd already chose it. I'd forgotten that they wanted me to choose it. So fun train wrecks here. Thanks, guys. I guess I will then choose. I thought they were choosing, and then I will announce it. So the announcement's coming up. We'll have them both back in studio here then with us coming up at the very end of the broadcast today. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now into hour number 2. I am your host, Alex Jones, and for the balance of the hour, Wayne Madsen, Infowars.com, investigative journalist. He also has his own award-winning website, WayneMadsenReport.com. He's also a best-selling author, formerly in anti-submarine warfare, then in security, actually internal security, not like security guard, but actually headed up a division looking for leaks and moles and spies in the NSA, in a senior position there, directing projects. And then now, for the last 20-plus years, a major whistleblower, bigger than Snowden. It's just back then they didn't arrest whistleblowers. He's been to Congress, testified, and then became a journalist. That's what you do. Nowadays, you expose pedophilia in government, they arrest you. Or you expose drug dealing in government, they kill you. Or you expose Fast and Furious, like the Border Patrol agent, and they kill you. We've now had the investigators on. They killed Brian Terry to do that. So that's why this is so important. I was having Madsen on 18 years ago. And I was having James Bamford, former producer of Nightline, but also talking to whistleblowers on with his body of secrets and other books he wrote. So we've known what's going on for a long time. Now the FBI has come out and says, look, we want national security. We don't want you to know what biometric database we have. Well, I can tell you because the corporations always admit it when they start doing it. More than 18, 19 years ago, when I was really getting informed on all this, they were having big consortium meetings in Chicago, New York, and other places. And I read the articles on air from trade publications that listeners would send me, engineers and people that were there. So it's not in the news, but it's in trade publications. And they said, all the phones will have a chip in them to track their location. You'll be able to dial in and listen to it even when it's off. This was all by law in '96 that it be in place by 2000. And they said, tanning salons, grocery stores, libraries. We're going to have corporations push and subsidize thumbprints or handprints and driver's license facilities, and we're going to take all those databases and put them into a global database, not just an FBI database. Just like I first told folks 20 years ago, because a nurse gave me the documents from a military base in San Antonio, the U.S. Army runs a worldwide UN database of everybody's DNA and blood at birth. When they take the baby's blood and say, we're sending this off to the health department, they're not testing for a blood disease. I remember with my kids, I said, you're not going to do that. We got to sign a waiver form. And don't you want your kids' blood tested? And I said, yeah. Pull up the charge on the computer and you do that blood test here. And I went, full well that goes to the health department. You're mandated. And they said, yeah, you're right. Whatever. And I went further. I said, I'm not filling your forms out either. You're not taking the blood and you're not sending it to the Army. And people started suing in Austin and Minnesota, and they were in the news, saying, yeah, Alex Jones talked about it, it's true. And they found out it was a big nationwide scandal. And I'm not bragging, oh, look, we broke that. The point is, this stuff's all hiding in plain view because people like Wayne Madsen and that Army nurse and others. And then they take your blood and they patent it, and then when you need a gene therapy, this is now happening 30 years later, CBS News headline, biotech patents your blood and DNA at birth charges you, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars for a genetic therapy because they say they own you because they got your blood at birth? Vampires. In spirit, not in reality. We're going to get into all this today. I want to get into the jihad going on, the alliance with the elites and Islam. Is this a triple cross? I know Cheney wanted to clash of civilizations, stir up the Muslims, put the radicals in charge so we'd have an excuse to go in and murder them. I'm against that. I was against the wars. But now we're going into another phase where you bring 5 million into Europe. The numbers are much higher here in the U.S. than they say. It's thousands in Austin admitted alone. Then I'm told it's hundreds, Texas total. What's behind the Pope saying we don't need Europe's Christian roots and he abhors it? Let me give you the exact quote, then I'm going to my guess. Likens us to ISIS, dreaded, I'm sorry, not abhors, dreaded the Christian roots of Europe and its colonialist overtones and likened, it says ISIS went forth just as Christ told his disciples to go forth. ISIS goes forth and murders everyone. So now meeting with the Grand Imam, as the Islamic State says, attack Europe, attack the U.S. I mean, what is going on here? But then the good news, what he's really an expert on pretty much everything. Wayne's a really smart guy. And I'm not kissing his butt, but a few guests we get on I know are so smart because I do a lot of research and know even more than I do in many cases. But I'm telling you, listen to this guy. Everybody's getting mad at Soros. Hungary's prime minister, deputy prime minister or leader in Poland. And this is left, conservative, nationalists. They're all going, stop it. And then Wayne Madsen has his latest report out, CIA document, Soros connected to terrorist bombing in the 80s. CIA links top Hillary donor George Soros to terrorist bombing. So it all interconnects with the literal leader of Spectre. See, Ian Fleming copies reality. It's not life imitating art. It's art imitating life. And joining us is Wayne Madsen. He'll be with us at the RNC. The DNC is going to blow up even bigger. Sanders is winning. They're trying to steal it from him. I want to send Madsen there. I may not go, but I want to send a good crew to the DNC as well. Wayne Madsen, that's kind of my 5-minute setup here of some of the pieces out there. I know you've always got all other stuff on the burner as well that you'll reveal here today. Irons in the fire you've got. But what do you want to cover first that I threw out there?
Well, I think the Soros story is interesting because, once again, we've had another one of these very close elections, this one for the president of Austria. And I've always referred to these close elections as the Soros flip, because it doesn't matter whether it's a left-wing populist that's defeated, or in the case of Austria, it was a right-wing populist who was defeated. These, in the case of the Argentine election, it was a global banker, globalist banker named Macri defeated the left-wing populist. Very close election. And here we have in Austria, the election was declared to the Green Party candidate, who was behind in the polls for the last several weeks significantly, and he comes ahead and defeats the Austria Freedom Party candidate, who was against the open borders, allowing all the migrants in.
So they stole it. I mean, the guy's way ahead in the polls, but he loses. How are they going to get away with flooding them with Muslims? They're just going to start robbing the elections.
Yeah, and they stole it with postal ballots, and that's how it's done. You know, all the regular votes are counted, and then they throw in the quote-unquote absentee ballots, and that's where the ballot boxes get stuffed. And these close elections, they should not really be that close, but they give it the Soros and his gangs of election engineers want to make it look close, to make it appear that it was a free and fair election. But it was so close. The Soros guy always manages to pull it out, whether that's Macri in Argentina or this guy Van de Bellen.
Sure, and that gets more political contributions to get dumped in as well to the political class, as long as it's a neck-and-neck situation.
Absolutely. So, and you know, people say, well, what about the U.S. elections? They were close in 2000 to 2004. People forget George Soros was one of the initial investors in George W. Bush's Arbusto oil company. And so, you know, although he gave money to the Democrats, Soros does quite well.
Just like the Koch brothers used to be the main financiers of the Clintons.
Absolutely. So you know, the Soros has enough money, he can throw it around everywhere. But the net result is these elections are engineered for his people to get in. Now, in 1987, I have a CIA document that's saying, hey, how come there's these bombings going on in what was then Czechoslovakia? Well, Soros had already shorted the American dollar after Black Monday. That was the crash of Wall Street in October 87. Soros starts, he makes money on shorting the U.S. dollar. And he throws all the profits, a lot of them, into Eastern Europe, which is starting to open up at the end of the 80s. And he's supporting his favorite people in Eastern Europe. So we have in the CIA, in one case, there was a bombing of the Czechoslovak Communist Party headquarters in a Czechoslovak city. And they said, oh, look, it's possible that this money is coming from overseas, from abroad. And it was, because the only person pumping money into the Czechoslovak opposition in those days was George Soros and his friends with the National Endowment for Democracy, which is a CIA-linked operation. So I defer to the CIA. They knew where the money was coming from. Some of it was theirs, and some of it was Soros's. So
who would you say really runs the CIA? I mean, I know it's a bunch of different factions and people, but man, it always seems to be right at the tip of the spear, just trying to screw over America, but every other country. It's like it's against nationalism. It's against independence. It's against families. It's like cancer.
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because I'm in the process of working on my forthcoming book, which is a glossary of all the CIA front companies, proprietaries, contractors, partners since its inception. And it's becoming quite clear to me that when you look at how many operations the CIA has run and how integrated they were with Wall Street.
It's really an attempt to take over the whole economy and have a shadow economy.
Yeah, I think the actual masters for the CIA, it's not the White House or the National Security Council. It's Wall Street. It's the Council on Foreign Relations. That's right. Their leadership is based in New York City more than it is in Washington, D.C.
And it was put in by the Royal Institute of International Affairs, not as a British satellite, but using the British Empire model of shadow governance.
Right. And you see how the CIA has infiltrated banks over the years and media companies and trade unions. It was all done via Wall Street operations. So the true masters of the CIA is, in fact, is Wall Street. And it's been that way since 1947. And you look at Allen Dulles and the people who created the CIA when they were with its predecessor, the OSS, they were all Wall Street people.
And they're crony capitalists consolidating the economy, as John D. Rockefeller said. Competition is a sin. You having your own life is a sin. Investigative journalist Wayne Madsen joins us. His latest article, CIA document leaks and links George Soros to bombing in Europe. What is it this guy linked to? But before I go any further with him, I want to get into the election. I want to cover a lot of news. I want to take your calls, your questions for Wayne Madsen on geopolitics, on the Middle East, on Trump. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. I want to give first-time callers in this hour a chance. Please be first-time callers. 800-259-9231. Wayne, in this short segment, let me ask you about this. I really want your insight on this. It seems very reckless of the establishment. The best numbers we've got is about 5 million refugees that they advertised, that the head of the UN program on refugees set up. I mean, he'd been the founder of the EU. Peter Sutherland, top globalist, moves down to be the head of the refugee program, advertises, sets up the conduit with Turkey, brings in all these mainly invaders that, as you know, came into Syria. You've been there. You've traveled there. Been to Libya. You get your hands dirty. You get down in the muck. And, I mean, a good percentage of them are jihadis, obviously waiting for their orders to attack. How does the establishment get away with they're the ones that brought them in and then they allow this to happen? And why would they want to destabilize things that bad? I mean, I get they're bringing in terrorists, but Why would they do it so nakedly? Why are they doing it here? Why is Obama hiding the real number of refugees here? That's clear.